in accordance with an act to implement provisions necessary to the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of Maine in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency as enacted by section G1 MRSA subsection 403A, public proceedings through remote access during the declaration of state of emergency due to COVID-19. This business meeting is being held through Zoom and will be recorded and posted on maranacook.org YouTube channel. Due to the change in the format of this Board of Directors meeting, please be aware that during the course of this meeting, the microphones of the viewing audience will be muted, except during the identified portions of public comments at this meeting. That will be number 3 and number 5B on our agendas. There is a chat box feature in Zoom, but we will not be utilizing this function for this first meeting. If you have questions or comments that fall outside of the appropriate public participation times, please call the central office or email the superintendent or any board member, and we will provide an answer for you as quickly as we can during normal business hours. This is our first meeting using this format, and we ask for the public's patience during these highly unusual circumstances. Any feedback we receive will be used to adjust future meetings to conduct the business of the Board of Directors and meet the needs of the general public. So we are doing everything through roll call voting. So that includes attendance, and all votes will be done through the roll call, as I just mentioned. So for Board of Directors, when your name is called, please cast your vote with one of the 3 available options of yes, which is approval, no, which is disapprove, or abstain. So at this point, we're going to proceed with a roll call vote. If I could ask board members to please say here when you hear your name. And during this time, could you be sure that your audio is working so that we can confirm that all board members can hear each other, because that is one of the requirements of the meeting, is that board members be able to hear and talk with each other. So here we go with the roll call vote. Kim Bowie.
Here.
Wendy Brotherland.
Here.
Kathy Jacobs.
Here.
Melissa Tobin. Alexander Wright.
Here.
Patty Gordon.
Here.
Rebecca Lambert.
Here.
Betty Morale.
Betty. Here.
Sean Roderick.
Here.
Gary Carr.
Here.
And David Twitchell.
Here.
Awesome. Hey, we're off to a good start, you guys. So Gary, if it's okay, I'm going to roll right into number 2. I do have a couple of adjustments to the agenda. And if everyone has their agendas in front of them, it'll be where I'd like to place them are number 4G, and it will be a discussion on food service during the April 20 vacation week. So that'll be 4G, discussion on food service during the April 20 vacation week. And I would like to also add 4H, which will be a discussion on subcommittee meetings during the month of April. So 4H, a discussion on subcommittee meetings during the month of April. And then I'm going to call it number 5C, number 1. I don't know if that's the right format, but that's what I'm going to use, which is a discussion or vote to authorize the Mount Vernon Elementary School roof repair be paid through bond funds. That's a discussion that was put off from the last meeting that we will need to have during that budget time. So I want to make sure that we don't lose that as we're going forward. So I'm calling it 5C, number 1, a discussion or vote to authorize the Mount Vernon Elementary School roof repair to be paid through bond funds. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to Dr. Carr, who can work his way through the number 3, which is our citizen comment section.
So what happened to the other facility things like the lights for the track?
Yeah, we'll cover those at the facility meeting, depending on when we work through that.
I thought we had discussion on that and we're going to do that through the bond.
I will have to go back and check my notes, Gary. I apologize if I missed that.
Okay. So now we're up to any other adjustments to this agenda? I see here none. Moving on to citizens' comments. Any comments from the citizens? I hear none.
Yeah. Yes, I have one. I'm just wondering about the food service to the kids. Is it possible to get the bus route to deliver food to the kids? It seems might be burdensome for everybody to come pick it up at Mount Vernon.
Gary, are you okay if I answer that question?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so Dawn, just so you know, we had to actually apply. It's a special application we had to put in as a summer meal program that the state opened up so we could actually be able to serve meals. And it's based on socioeconomic status. The only school in our district that qualifies for that program is Mount Vernon Elementary School. So that's why we have to deliver and serve only from Mount Vernon.
so I know that there are kids that get the reduced meal or free meal during the school year. They're not looking at that?
No, right now it's for anyone. That summer, the way we're running it is through that summer program, and that's open to anyone who wants it, as long as they pick up in Mount Vernon.
So somebody from Manchester could get it at Mount Vernon.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I know other districts are using bus routes to deliver the meals. How are they doing it? Where,
Again, they have to run. We could serve with a bus, but we could only serve with a bus in Mount Vernon because of the socioeconomic status.
I don't know about that, because I know there are poor kids in Manchester. I know that they get school lunch.
Yeah.
I'm sure in other towns, so it doesn't make sense to me. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there's something that can be done, you know, with the COVID virus, you know, exceptions, if that could be something that could be done. I mean, it just seems like it's hard for everybody to get to Mount Vernon to get the meals.
Yep. I know there's some, there are some other things that are coming out, and I expect that we will try to take advantage of them. Again, if we can qualify, but we will definitely look to take advantage. I know things continually shift, and we've been doing meetings once a week with the Department of Education food service program. So if there's any way we can take advantage of any kind of change in programming or loopholes or what have you, we absolutely will try to do that. So we're keeping an eye on it.
Good to hear. Thanks.
Okay, Wendy, up for the approval of minutes.
Gary, can I just interrupt before you go to number 4A? Shenna Bellows is on the line. I don't know if everyone can see her or not. She was gracious enough to join us. Shenna, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to share, knowing that you've been working in the legislature really hard, so.
Thank you, everyone, for your hard work. And I was just taking some rapid notes because the Congresswoman Pingree had shared with me that the federal rules around delivery may have changed, and I will try to get some clarity from the Maine Department of Education about how quickly those will be implemented. I know the federal government just passed its bill. President Trump signed it into law just seems like years ago, but it was only days ago. So those may not have come down yet, but I'll do my best to get you some answers on that because you guys are working so hard. My understanding is that they're making it much more flexible but I'll try to get some clarity.
Thank you, Shanna.
Okay, Wendy.
All right, I move to approve the minutes of March 11th, 2020.
Second.
Alex.
Any discussion? All in favor? Roll
Oh,
call.
Gary, I have to do the roll call vote. And right before we do that, I am going to share my screen with everyone. So as we work through particularly number 4 and parts of number 5, up on the screen, you'll see the items that we're sharing. So if you'll give me just 1 second.
That's awesome.
Diane, it says host has disabled attendee screen sharing. Sorry about the delay. There are always little kinks here. And all right, is everyone seeing the agenda?
Nope.
Nope, not yet. Hold on. Let me try this again.
I'm watching Patty walk around her house.
I know, I had to take my burritos out of the oven and then get near a charging port. Oh, there it is.
got it.
Got it? Okay,
Got
so
it, Jay.
perfect. So there are the minutes. So if there's no discussion, we'll do the roll call vote for the minutes. Approve, disapprove, or abstain. Kim Bowie. Kim, what's your vote on the minutes?
Sorry, it's taking me a minute to get the unmute here every time.
No
So
worries.
since I'm first, you're causing a very heart palpitations for me.
Oh,
Sorry, Kim.
Darn that B name of mine. I approve.
Wendy,
approve.
Kathy,
Approve.
Melissa's not here. Alex,
Approve.
Patty,
Abstain. I wasn't there.
okay. Rebecca,
Approve.
Betty,
Abstain.
Sean,
Approve.
Gary,
Approve.
and David.
Abstain.
Abstain. Perfect. On to number 4B. Oh, sorry, I have to announce. I'm supposed to total up and announce just for our viewing audience. I apologize. 7 approve, 0 no's, and 3 abstains.
Moving on.
I move to accept the donations.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh,
Take a roll call.
Wow.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, Kim.
I was quicker that time. I approve.
Was that an approve, Kim?
Oh, yes, it was an approve.
Okay. Wendy,
I approve.
Kathy,
Approve.
Melissa's not here. Alex,
Approve.
Patty,
Approve.
Rebecca,
Approve.
Betty,
Approve.
Sean,
Approve.
Gary,
Approve.
and David.
Approve.
So 10 approves on that one. So that's unanimous.
Gary,
Yes.
Gary, this is Betty. I received an email today from the Awesome Bear Society asking if any of the teams wanted to donate the rest, a portion or all of their money to be used this year to Marana Cook to be used for the remote learning days or any other way that they needed money. So just that's an FYI.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Wendy,
I move to accept the teacher resignation due for retirement for Michael Boyman, high school, effective June 30th, 2020.
Second.
any discussion?
Just so board members know, we sent those out as a separate attachment, and we sent it probably about 15 or 20 minutes ago at this point. So you can see those letters if you want to review them.
Can we just put a big with regret, exclamation point, exclamation point?
Yeah, second.
Yeah.
All right.
And a personal thank you for his years of service.
Indeed.
Roll call vote?
All righty. So Kim,
Approve.
Wendy,
Approve with regret.
Kathy,
Approve with regret.
Melissa's not here. Alexander, or Alex, sorry.
Approve with regret.
Patty,
Approve with regret.
Rebecca,
Approve.
Betty,
Approve with regret.
Sean,
Approve.
Gary,
Approve?
and David.
Approve.
And that was unanimous approval.
Okay, Wendy.
I move to accept the teacher resignation for Mackenzie Kelly, high school, effective June 30th, 2020, with regret.
Second.
Any discussion?
Betty has a second.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Was it Alex? Sorry, it was probably
No,
Me or
there was.
Kathy?
It was Kathy.
It's Kathy. Thank you,
Kathy.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call?
Kim,
Approve.
Wendy,
Approve.
Kathy,
Approve.
Alex,
Approve.
Patty,
Approve.
Rebecca,
Approve.
Betty,
Approve.
Sean,
Approve.
Gary,
Approve?
and David.
Approve.
Unanimous. Perfect.
Before we go on any further, did you get the other letter in yet?
Not yet. I have someone helping me with that, just so you know.
Okay.
Yep.
So we got one more that is going to be at another meeting
Yes.
down the road.
Yeah.
Okay, Wendy, approval of the remote
Right.
learning.
I move to approve the remote learning plan.
Second.
Any discussion?
I
This
have,
is
I have some discussion.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say that this plan looks really great. It's very comprehensive, but it's not too overwhelming. I really appreciate all the work that the teachers, the administrators, and everybody has done to put this together. I know it has not been easy. It's been a lot of work. So thank you to all of them. And I just am wondering if, I've got like 2 or 3 questions on this. First of all, did the staff help develop this? Does this come from staff?
Yes,
Teacher-
it does. We gave them the basic skeleton, and then they met remotely using Zoom as grade levels and content areas to kind of plan out what the activities would be. And that was pre-K right through 12th grade.
Okay, well, they did a great job, so I really appreciate that. Has this been shared with parents?
On our website, we do have a parent quote unquote handbook, and everything is there. So right on our website, we have everything there. Yes.
So do parents know that? Because I am getting some questions about this. And,
Yep, go ahead.
and what about parents that don't have internet? How are they getting notified about this?
So we have sent home things mostly through the mail. And I know at the high school level, we were looking at trying to do a bus delivery potentially tomorrow. Or it'll be a little late, but potentially tomorrow to help get to those parents and or students, anyone that we kind of missed initially.
Okay. First of all, the elementary school one looks great. I mean, I know several kids that are working on it and they're doing great and they're loving it and they're having a good time with it. I do have some questions about the middle school and high school. First of all, I guess when I looked at this, I saw what the expectations were. And I thought that the expectations seemed very reasonable. So I also wonder how or if teachers are using any kind of Google Hangout or Zoom or anything like that to do, especially in science classes, like to do experiments, and is that live, or kids expected to be there like during a certain time and sit down to a live classroom? Because I'm hearing that some teachers are expecting that. And my other question is, what about the kids that are going to CATSI? I'm sure you probably thought about this, but I've just been, I look through all this and I think, this doesn't really address any of that. So I just wondered where they fit in with all of this.
Yep. So I'll address CATSI and then I'll open it up to Dwayne and Kristen to talk a little bit, if that's okay. So CATSI, we're basically waiting on direction from Augusta. I know they're in the process of kind of working through their plan. So unfortunately, I don't have an easy answer for CATSI at this point. We're kind of at the mercy of Augusta. It's their program. So once we get information, we will certainly pass it along to the appropriate students and families. Having said that, Kristen and or Dwayne, would you guys like to talk a little bit about what is going on for learning at the 6 through 12 level?
Sure. Kristen, do you want to go first?
Sure. So at the middle school level, there are a lot of teachers using Hangouts, and there's a lot of online learning. Today I sat in on 2 different classes. One was a GT class and they went over a book study and talked about a debate. It's not required, but kids, because not every kid can be available at every single time. But in this particular class, all but 2 kids were there. And then I also sat in on an 8th grade math talk today. And again, it wasn't required, but the kids who were there seemed to really want to be there. I got to answer one of the questions, so that was fun. But I think there are some challenges with the technology, but the kids it has been used, and I know people have also started to take some videos, but nothing to be posted, but nothing is required to be anywhere at a specific time, just because that's too much to ask, especially if some families have like 3 kids in different grade levels and they all have to be online at a certain time.
So I guess when you say not required, what about the kids that don't attend it? How do they get them? I mean, are they going to be put at a disadvantage? I'm just really worried about the equity of all of this. Because if some kids are doing something and other kids aren't, it doesn't seem real equitable to me.
Yeah. And the same for some teachers doing it and some teachers not. That doesn't seem equitable to all kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just address that a little bit. We got, I got some guidance from the state, and they do know that that equity piece is huge. And they're not trying to discount that in any way. But one of the things that came across pretty loud and clear, at least from the Department of Education, was you need to provide something, and you need to do it as equitably as you can, knowing that there may be deficiencies, and you try to address those deficiencies or shortcomings as best you can, but don't let equity of access stop us from actually trying to do some remote learning. So we're trying to address as much as we can, and we're just trying to hopefully play off the communication piece as far as equity goes. And when we're back full time, we will address as best we can any student that wasn't able to connect. I know, as an example, we have all of our Khajiit hotspots, especially for 6 through 12, have all gone out. Those are mobile hotspots that students can use to access the internet connectivity. So we've got, I believe it's 15, and Diane, if I'm off on that number, you can correct me. And we've actually ordered some more, and we will deploy those as soon as we get them. but they are on order. So we can try to address some of those shortcomings, at least 6 through 12.
And I think that's awesome. That's a really good approach, and it's a good strategy. There's also another concern that when you've got parents at home, I'm bringing this up because I am hearing a lot of stress from parents on a pretty regular, these 3 days this week. And I just, I just don't want to put parents in that, and teachers. I'm hearing confusion from teachers too. The equity piece goes beyond just access. I mean, you could have parents that are both working at home and they both have to be on the internet at the same time. And then you're asking the kids, whom a lot of families have kids in middle school and high school, okay, now they've got to get on the internet. We didn't have power in Mount Vernon on Monday. I mean, all of these things come into play. Yeah. And I'm just concerned that you're going to have a certain group of kids that are going to be on the internet. They're going to be doing every single thing they're supposed to be doing, and that's great. They're going to get what they need. You're going to have another group of kids that are going to try, and they're not going to be able to do everything. And I don't want them put at a disadvantage because of things that are out of their control. And I'm concerned that that may be happening.
The same thing with kids that have a certain teacher, they're getting an advantage, whereas if you don't have those teachers, then you're not getting the same thing.
Kathy, I don't think there's a way to solve I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot, and my kids are younger, but I'm thinking just about that too, because I think no matter what, we can make it as equitable as we want, but when kids come back, we're going to have kids who have excelled, and then kids that are way behind, and then some that are fine.
And I think that's the key right there, Kristen. I think having teachers really be flexible and understand that. I know we say that we do, but we've got to put that in practice, and we've got to make sure that that really is happening when kids come back, that they're whatever they were able to do or not do has to be taken into consideration. And I think the expectations, and I know it's hard, and I know teachers, especially middle school and especially high school, teachers are concerned about, their kids have to have a certain content in order to graduate. I mean, juniors and seniors right now, I'm sure, are very stressed, and so are their parents. But I just don't want us adding more stress to their already very stressful time that they're having by making expectations that they're just not going to be able to meet. And so they don't pass the class, and now they're behind when they go back. And it's a lot.
So I think, like you said, it's an incredibly stressful time. And what an amazing week we transitioned to remote learning this week. We're constantly reassessing it. We had common planning time today for all departments in a staff meeting, and I know the middle school is doing the same thing. As a district, we're reassessing how much stress is on teachers and how much stress is on students, really aware of the cognitive overload for everyone. And I think it's real, and it's something that we'll be constantly looking at.
And I appreciate that, Dwayne. I want to make sure, though, that it's really happening, because when a teacher tells a student, if you don't attend my online live class, you won't pass the class, which I'm hearing has been said, that adds a lot of stress when that student may not be able to at that particular time.
So totally. One of the things, sorry, go ahead, Dr. No, you can go first.
So totally, and I think we've had that discussion as an A team, and I don't want to speak for that, but I know as schools we've each had that discussion that can't happen, and if it is happening, we just have to address it, and we can, and we'll support that teacher and those students, and we realize not everyone is.
Can I ask a question?
I think the teachers need support in understanding what their expectations are as well. I'm also hearing that they're confused. Can they do a live class? Is FERPA involved? What is just a lot of questions coming up with these live Zoom or Google Hangout or whatever you're doing. People are asking questions about all of this, and I don't have the answers. I'm just trying to support people so they're not so stressed.
Can I just share a couple of things that happened at our staff meeting today, where I work at RSU 4, who happens to be way behind Maranacook on a lot of stuff regarding remote learning. It's not beginning until next week, so we're like a week behind. But there's this kind of, Kathy used the word codified or something like that, or something. There's something in the new academic expectations for grades 6 through 12 that says something like you need to, teachers need to not have harm, like go into every I can't remember the wording without it in front of my face, but it like go into every situation without intending harm, which sounds extreme, but what it means is if there's any situation where there is access as an issue that someone didn't get something, it won't cause harm. Like it won't. It's in the new, whatever it is, procedure, protocol, whatever. And I don't know if we have that. That was one of my questions too, because I didn't see that kind of literally it written down part. I think that our teachers are amazing, but I didn't see that written down. And then the other thing that they were working on was the grading. I understand that there's pass fail here, right? Now?
Is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
So I didn't see how that was, I wonder if it would be helpful to quell people's stress about this if we also had it written down, if we agree upon it, that what that means is whatever. Pass means there is no way that anybody is going to demonstrate proficiency in a standard in remote learning the same way that they would in in-class learning. There's zero way, right? So the way that we were grading is really different now. So is a pass at RSU 4, a pass is a 3 because we use that scale. A fail is a 1, and a pass, we were told very specifically, is like for an attempt to work toward growth in a standard. And if there's that plus the teacher in making sure that it is codified, there is no harm intended, I wonder if that would help ease your concerns. Kathy.
Well, I think it would. And I think the other thing is that what you said, Kristen, that these online sessions are not required. That's not written here anywhere, but I think that's really an important thing that you said, because I think if they're not required, that eases some of that stress and tension. I think kids will probably still do it, but it's that whole, okay, I have to do this and I have to do it right now. When here's my mom on the computer, here's my dad on the computer, my system isn't handling it, I can't do it, I'm done. I'm just really worried about the stress that this is all causing on everybody, teachers as well. I know teachers are pretty stressed right now too. And another question.
They are professionals.
I have another question. Is that okay, Gary?
Well, I think they're professional people, but what you really wanted to know is how many remote little gadgets that we need to get a Wi-Fi signal to everybody. I don't care. You might not want to know that. I want to know that.
That's not what I wanted to know, but that's a good question.
That's what we need to know, and so that we have the proper amount of tools for everybody to use it. Education's changing. This is not going to be the end of this.
So that's another question I have. How do science teachers, how are they having kids do labs? But it's such an important part of their content. What are the expectations there?
Dr. Conway, I know you
Sure.
attended some of those.
Yeah, for sure. I think the hope was, and this has been changing, it's rapidly changing. Originally the hope was to, as a science teacher, come to school, videotape a lab, push that out to students to be able to access when they could, with no requirement of saying you have to be here at this time. Or
that sounds great.
But that's
what happened.
that's shrinking now. I mean, we don't have that access anymore based off mandates. So I think teachers are working hard to do that in other ways. Whether it's through virtual online means that they can access themselves and then push that out. And I know there are a bunch of virtual activities out there for labs that they have access to through their online books and different resources.
And I just hope teachers are getting the support that they need to be able to do all this, because it's a whole different thing for teachers too.
Totally.
We ask them to do an online, teach online. That is just something we never learned how to do. So now we're trying. We're building the airplane as we're flying it.
So Dwayne, do you have all the little modems that we need to have?
Yeah, we use Kajit's, and Diane and her team has really crushed it. I think there's always an issue, and she can speak to it much better than I can, about usage with, it being used for more than education, which is natural. It's a, mobile hotspot, and sometimes it gets used for streaming movies or whatever.
My question is how many kids don't have the hotspot?
Yep, sure. Just a few. Diane, do you want me to answer that, or do you? Or?
Gary, we put in an order for a few extras because what was happening when we had our 15 between the high school and the middle school is that high school kids are quite mobile and they weren't checking them out as much, and they didn't need them because they could get to a friend who had Wi-Fi or to a place. That has changed dramatically now. And so that people are at home and they're going to need to use these. The other thing that has changed dramatically is there's data limits on these per day. And so I have contacted Kijiji and upped all the data limits on it, because really and truly, if you get a Kijiji into a family, anybody can use that Kijiji to have mobile access, right? So it serves the whole family, not just the student that has the computer from our district. And so we've upped all of the data limits. It does still have, it's still filtered, it's not for social media, but YouTube is not filtered because teachers use YouTube a lot of times for, some of the lessons that they do. And there's also good things on YouTube, and, but when you have a whole family using a Kijiji, that data goes pretty fast. And we don't want to say, oh, this is just for the kid. We want to just have as many people, benefit our communities, right? And our families.
So can I answer that real quick, Dr. Carr? We had 3 at the high school that were supposed to be picked up last week, Thursday or Friday, when I think Friday when we had pickup. They need to be delivered. They're going to be delivered tomorrow. And then I think we should be squared away.
So you're done.
Diane and her team. Excuse me?
With those 3, you're over with.
Yep.
You have
and I know yep, we should be all set. And I know Diane and her team
how about the middle school then? How do you sound?
Kristen, do you wanna?
How many do you need?
Sorry, my internet is slow and it keeps freezing on me. Talk about internet problems. So we're all set for what we need right now. We do have some kids that have packet work, and we do have some kids that have bandwidth issues because their parents are working from home. So it's not that they don't have internet. And like there's one family and there's 3 kids that go to our school. So they have packet work in case bandwidth is a problem. It has not been a problem yet this week, but we gave them backup just in case.
So do we have any problem at the grade school level?
Well, we don't. The state is actually working hard to start really coming up with a solution for access with the elementary grades. We have polled all of our parents, and we have lists. And, the questions that we ask were kind of interesting too. It's not just, do you have internet access and do you have a device, but it's also, how much, are there going to be problems with using a device? Is it one computer that you're sharing between a whole family? Are parents working from home? Those are all really important things that we're trying to find out from our families. And we don't have one-to-one devices for K through 5. So we're kind of looking to see who absolutely needs a device and how can we make those types of things happen if we head toward more of an online learning hybrid thing for our K-5 or pre-K-5 kiddos. So this is all in the works, and we're working hard to gather all that information and start making decisions. And the other thing that you need to understand about a Kijiji is it's It's a cellular signal. And even,
That costs
it
money.
depends on where you are. It's so hard in some of our areas of our communities to have a good, strong cellular signal. Even in my house, I have a booster, so that my phone gets a good signal, so, and I'm right in Reedfield, but, I'm kind of in a little bit of a gully. And so those are things that the whole state of Maine is working hard on right now. And so no easy answers, but lots of really great work looking at what that will mean for families. And I think probably the state of Maine, to have some sort of plan for internet access for the entire state of Maine, needs to have, work done on that. So, the schools are trying, but I also believe that the state of Maine is also trying. DOE is working hard on this too, so.
Okay. So the approval of this here remote learning, as Jay explained to me, is for the state, needs us for this approval.
So we had, yep, just to back up what Gary just said, we approved a remote learning plan earlier this year for 1 day. So I just thought it prudent, based on all the work that we've done, to put a revision out and then get it approved by the board. We will then send copies of our minutes to the Department of Education, and the communication that I received from them was, as long as we had a plan in place, they would be waiving all the days and we wouldn't have to do anything but submit the minutes of this meeting. And they'd be waiving all the days, no matter how short or long this runs. So I just thought it prudent to, put our revised plan out there, and so that there wouldn't be any hiccups anywhere along the way. So that's why I've got it before you right now for another approval, because we revised it.
Jay, one question about the elementary plan. It says that the district's schools will distribute the materials on Friday, March 28th. How often will materials be distributed to the elementary students?
Yeah, that's a really good question that I don't have an answer to right now. A lot of it is going to depend on how much longer this closure goes. I was going to talk about that in the next agenda item, but we're really looking, Diane kind of referenced it a little bit, at going over to a hybrid model where we start to try to, I don't want to say allow, but try to give some opportunities for some online learning that may happen at the pre-K to 5 level, and then figure out what do we need to do to get hard copies out to people and stuff. And it could be mailing, it could be distributing. It'll just kind of depend on how much longer this goes.
Going to April 30th.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Well, the packets that we made up actually go to the way we designed the pre-K through 5 is to allow that it would go for a few weeks. So there doesn't need to be a new packet pickup until like the next cycle of when if we extend.
I haven't seen what those packets look like, but I know from my daughter, who has 3 kids, 2 in middle school and 1 elementary, and both she and her husband are working from home, and they are busy during those hours. They can't be teachers. I just hope that, the variety of work is something that doesn't need a whole lot of parent involvement, because they can't be the teachers. They aren't the teachers.
I just want to chime in. I mean, I have a son in 2nd grade and a daughter in 4th grade, and I'd say it's a mix. I mean, some of the work I feel is stuff they can do on their own, and some of the stuff is my daughter actually can do it all on her own. My son needs some of it. He needs guidance on some of it, so we decide when we're going to do it. But I mean, as Senator Bellows, I know she's on the line, through the line of work I do, I've talked to teachers and students and parents from pretty much all over the state. And there is a lot of stress, but there's a variety. There's some schools who are complaining our schools aren't giving our kids enough work, and there's some schools saying they're giving too much. So I think, people have got to realize that this is new territory for everybody. We got to take a deep breath and kind of let it work and let the kinks work out. I think that the middle school, the elementary schools have done a great job. My son has needed some help, and his special teachers have been right there to help him. Mrs. Cormier was willing to get on the phone or to video chat with him when he needed that help. I think they're doing an amazing job, the teachers I've dealt with, and I just personally want to say thank you, and thank you for everybody who's doing the best they can to make sure that our students are being fed. That's the bigger fear to me, is I truthfully have a fear and am working as hard as, and a lot of people are working as hard as they can, of the food aspect as well. And as Senator Bellows said, I'm going to continue to reach out to the contacts I have to make sure that all students have access to food. And why can't we shift some of this food to other elementary schools? I mean, I think teachers have done a great job, at least the teachers I've dealt with, and have been a great. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
I have one more quick thing before we move from this. When I
We're
look,
moving to a vote after this.
okay, when I look at the 612 plan, I was so happy to see the comment and important information about the advisor system, because I wondered what people were going to do about that. So that's awesome. Sorry, I can't sit still, you guys. This is really hard. And the other thing I just wanted to ask again before we vote, what Kathy already asked when we started conversing about this, so each building's staff came up with this plan from the skeleton that was provided by you, Jay. Is that correct?
Yeah, so like all the fourth grade teachers across all 4 elementary schools got together via Zoom to put this together. So that way, like fourth grade, you were getting the same basic thing, whether you were in Manchester or whether you were in Wayne Elementary School.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
the teachers did an amazing job. I give them a lot of credit, and I think that's what has kind of lent itself to what I feel like is a pretty solid plan that we've put together, because they got together as grade levels, teams, content level specialists, and I think that's really what the strength of our plan is right now.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Everyone okay if I do the roll call vote?
Go.
All right. Kim.
Approved.
Wendy.
Approved.
Kathy.
I'm going to say no.
Oh, sorry. Alex.
Approve.
Patty.
Approved with the, am I allowed to make a caveat on that? Probably not, but with the, it would be great to have a little addendum that says those things that Kathy was talking about earlier in this conversation added to it.
Which is why I said no, because there's a couple of things I wish we could add to it. Then I would definitely say yes, because what's here I really, really like. It's awesome. I just wish there were a few more things here.
Rebecca.
Can I approve if there's also this caveat?
Well, I will tell you guys,
Can we say no and then amend them, or can we ask for the motion to be amended to include?
Well, I will tell you guys, I don't mean to make things cloudy. The 2 things that Kathy mentioned will be added in, and we will be getting those things out.
Which 2?
The attendance and like, we already have video conference guidelines spelled out, and one of them does say that attendance cannot be mandatory. So I just need to make that public. And then the other thing is a little clarification around the pass-fail system at the 6 through 12 level. So we will get those things kind of more public, draft them up so they can be public and transparent, and then we'll include those going forward as well.
So if you're going to do that, can I change my vote?
Sure.
I changed my vote to approve.
Good, so back to Rebecca.
Okay, approve.
Betty?
I approve. Is the pass, I can't find the pass fail in this document anywhere.
It's not in there. We will add it to
Okay.
it. I will get it out to
Okay.
you guys first, and then we'll make it public. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how people knew about it because I didn't read it. So, thank you.
I
Sean?
knew about it because I have a student doing it. That's why.
Yeah.
Approve.
Approved. Sean approves. Gary
Approve.
and David. Oh,
David?
David's on mute.
Sorry, I'm positive.
thank you. So unanimous, it passes, and we will make those changes that we discussed and get them out to you guys shortly.
Thank you, Jay.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, the next item is yours, Jay.
Yep, so it was the discussion of food service during the week of April 20th, which
No,
is
update on COVID-19.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I'm ahead of myself. I am going to share my screen again. Hold on just a second and put those COVID updates in. I'll just walk through them very quickly for everyone. There we go. Pull that up. Okay, so COVID updates. I put that just so that you know what communication I've gotten from the Department of Education. So just so you guys know, all standardized assessments have been canceled for the current school year. They're all listed out there. I'm not going to read them all to you. But what this does mean moving forward is that there will not be any data for the data dashboard for 2019-2020, this current school year. There is information on the dashboard from the previous testing round, which was 18-19. So there is that little caveat that we've got to remember because we're not taking any of those standardized assessments. There were a few questions about who's getting paid and who's essential as far as at school districts. So we're using guidance from the governor and guidance from DOE around that. So basically food service people who have been serving meals for us, those are essential employees. Central office staff here is essential employees, although most of them are working from home at this point. And building administrators are also considered essential employees, although again, most of them are working from home. All of our hourly employees are being paid per that executive order that came down, and we've worked out at the kind of at the payroll level what we need to do around time cards and all that kind of stuff. So we're following all of those kind of mandates, suggestions, and protocols to be able to make sure that all of our people are continuing to be paid and working within that framework as much as possible. Again, we don't have to, the waiver, we won't have to necessarily put in a waiver. We will submit our minutes, which you guys just approved, and that will basically take care of a waiver depending on how much longer or shorter this closure may extend. And then I did put on there what we are doing for breakfast and lunch at this point. Again, I'm not going to read all of that to you. Further closures. So one of the things that we will have to pay attention to is that the governor's stay-at-home order and the president's continuation of the social distancing guidelines would mean that we'll probably only be returning to school. Best case scenario would be May 4 would be the date we would return to school. I have not made that public yet because I would like to make minimal announcements about closing school or extending closure or then reopening. I'd rather not send out a lot of communications that are confusing to people. But at this point, we'll obviously cooperate with the mandates that are out there. And the soonest we would return to school at this point will be May 4. And again, as we get more information, everything changes oftentimes from hour to hour here. So once we get that I will certainly reach out and let you guys know if we are looking at any kind of extended closure beyond May 4. I will certainly be letting you guys know about that. I don't know if there's questions that I can answer, if anyone's got anything more they would like to address. I certainly am open to that.
Maybe you are going to address this when we talk about budget, but how is all of this affecting the bottom line?
Yep. If it's okay, Betty, I'll save that for when we do get down to the budget.
Sure.
We are going
Thank
to
you.
address it.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Moving off to G.
All righty. So G was the one where I thought it would be best to have the board kind of weigh in on this and have a discussion. And then if we need to take a vote, we can do that. The addition is the discussion of food service during the April 20 vacation week. So right now we're operating under that summer program, those summer program guidelines. The only way, and this is totally reimbursed by the state, we submit the number of meals that we are serving. It's totally 100% reimbursed by the state. However, during the week of April vacation, it would not be reimbursed by the state. The only way we could do that would be to cancel the April vacation. I'm not suggesting we do that, but there is, if we do want to serve meals during the April vacation, then that's going to be a cost to us. And it's going to be, I asked Bridget and the food service ladies, Jen Hall and Penny Weebly, to give me an estimate of what it would be for those 5 days. And it would be about $2,324. That's the estimated cost. That includes the meal cost as well as the labor, because we'd be paying people. Most of the time, food service staff does not work during vacation. So there would be an additional cost because they would be working during the vacation. So the estimated cost would be about $2,324. I'm just curious as to whether the board would like to go ahead and serve meals during vacation at our cost, or if we are going to say we're not serving during the April vacation. So I'm just curious where board members stand on that. And I think if we are going to do that, because we'd be expending money that we wouldn't normally be expending, I would probably want to take a vote. But if we want to just follow standard procedure, which is we are not serving during April vacation, then I don't think we need to take a vote on that. So at that point, I'll open it up to the board for discussion.
I think we should do it. I mean, $2,000, I think we should spend that money and keep serving the meals over April vacation.
I concur.
I agree.
Why
I
would
agree
we
as
do
well.
it?
I agree as well. Is there, I don't know what, it looks like we got through the donations a lot to the food pantry. Is there anything that is available there, or is that all being used for other stuff?
Wayne, you want to talk about the food pantry because you've headed that up?
Sure. Yeah. So Food Pantry, we're always in need of donations, money and food, but we've been super blessed and have been getting in a ton of supplies from people dropping them off, and money being donated, several $1,000s being donated. We're in a decent spot right now, although it gets used up very, very quickly. And I know Board Member Roderick and Superintendent Charette are putting us in touch with Good Shepherd Food Bank, and they're looking to help us out too. So we're in a position where we can keep giving food on Fridays from the food bank for the community for the foreseeable future. That's where we're at.
If you get help from Good Shepherd, it will probably be in the realm of no cost pre-packed boxes. That's what we're looking at, hopefully.
great. We'd love to help. And we know everybody's demanding help from lots of places. So it's appreciate anything we can get.
Is there
So
a
I get-
rule about accepting donations to cover school lunches during April vacation time? That, you know what I mean? Like, so if there were additional donations and we could use them for, if they weren't already earmarked for the food pantry, but we could use them for lunches during school vacation, are we allowed to do that?
Or do we have it in the budget? Are there cost savings somewhere that would cover $2,000?
I definitely think we could find that amount of money in our budget to be able to cover that.
Okay.
We are in an extended closure and there is some savings just through that. So I definitely think we can cover. My only little kind of caveat is that our food service people, it's kind of a smaller crew that's running for that. So that's my only concern, is just making sure that we're not overexpending our food service crew. That's my only kind of concern. I think we can find the money to cover it.
Is there any way that we could, I don't know, other places are paying their employees, those that are continuing to work, we're paying them a little extra for doing that. Is there any way that we could at least pay them more over February or April vacation if they choose to do that? I know there's a contract.
Yeah.
I think you got a contract you got to abide by.
Oh, Kathy, you're on mute
Kathy,
right
you're muted.
now.
Should we make a motion or anything? I don't know, Gary, where do we go from here?
I move that we do lunches over April vacation.
Second.
Can I add something to that?
Yep.
I don't know how to amend it. I just wanted to add in that we take the money out of the budget rather than trying to raise it and all that. I don't know how to say that, but can we add it to you?
Through the budget.
Through the budget.
Yeah.
So we'll move to, so if I can just repeat the motion, we'll move to provide meals during the April vacation through our regular budget.
Right.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Kim?
I'm ready to approve. It's hard being first. I'm just here to tell you, it is hard to be first.
Wendy?
Approve.
Kathy?
Approve.
Alex?
Approve.
Patty?
Approve.
Rebecca?
Approve.
Betty?
Approve.
Sean?
Sorry, I was a little slow. Approve.
Gary?
Approve.
And David?
Approve.
Perfect. Unanimous votes for approval. All right. And then, hold on just a sec. I'm gonna shift a few papers around. The next item agenda was the subcommittee meetings. We have 3 scheduled for this month. Facilities on April 7, curriculum on April 8, and policy on April 28. If we run all of these meetings, we will have to set them up in the similar format that we're doing this meeting tonight, because those are all public meetings. So I was just curious, one of the things with facilities, I think we're going to have an answer tonight when we get to the budget piece, but I'm suggesting, but again, I think we need to decide this as a board. I'm suggesting that we hold off on the April 7 meeting and plan on doing it May 12, Tuesday, May 12. But again, I want to know what the rest of the committees and or full board thinks about doing that. I don't want to, I know last month I kind of said no more subcommittee meetings, but at this point we have an option and we have a way we could do it. So I'm just curious where people sit, if they would like to wait until the May 12, or if we want to move forward with April 7 for facilities.
What's on the agenda? What's on the agenda for facilities?
I'll be very honest in saying I haven't totally drafted it yet.
Well, you got two or three items that need to go through the bond process, if I recall.
Yes, one of the things that we've been doing is trying to figure out what other projects that we may be wanting to do through the bond or pay for through the bond. So we do need to continue that discussion moving forward. But again, I worry a little bit about how much we're putting on Sean. He's got quite a few projects already going this summer. And I also know we have a couple more years to spend that bond money. So I'm not so worried about having to make those decisions, whether it's in April or even in May. We may want to wait until we get through all of the summer stuff. But again, we still have discussions that we need to happen around some of those projects, that's for sure.
Instead of putting a lot of pressure on you or anyone else, I would think that May would still give us plenty of time to make any decisions that we need.
Except you don't have the amount of time to get it out to bid. The projects.
Have we taken care of everything that has to go out to bid?
We still have several things that are currently either that are out to bid right now, and we'll be opening them. One on Friday and one I want to say it's like next Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So so we are kind of continuing the process, but I just think we may be starting to top out how much we can ask Sean to do. Sean Drinkwater, sorry, going into the summer months, because we still have the summer roof project that's going to be happening at the high school, which again is going to be, that's a significant project, just that alone. And we've got several other smaller ones that are going to be kicking off in the summer months as well.
So
I think that, yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I think what you're saying, Jay, is we're kind of at our max. And I think if we're going to be spending this money, I'd rather have it so that we're spending the money wisely and not people under stress and making, and especially contractors are kind of being cautious on what job sites they're going to see. So I think it'd be best advice to kind of take a standstill.
Wait.
I agree. I think waiting till May would be fine.
Okay, so I will plan on having that May 12 meeting, because either way, I think we'll need to, we'll hopefully be in a better place, and we can still for sure have that meeting, even if we have to do it remotely, just to kind of wrap things up as far as the facility committee goes in May. So
what time are those meetings? 6?
6 to 7 p.m. Okay. And it's Tuesday, May 12.
Okay.
So then the next one we have up is April 8th, the curriculum committee meeting, which is from 4 to 5 p.m. The next one after that is Wednesday, May 20th. So as far as the curriculum committee goes, a lot of times we have teachers that are part of that meeting. So I worry a little bit about that one as well. But at the same time, if we're going to have it April 8th, Dr. Nancy Harriman is usually the one who sets the agenda and organizes things. So I need to be able to give her direction of either yes, we're having it, or we're going to wait until Wednesday, May 20th for that curriculum meeting. So again, those that are on the committee and the rest of the board, what do you guys feel like? Should we go with the April 8 meeting or wait, or what is the thoughts here?
I'd like to hear from Nancy to see what she has to say.
Yep. I believe Nancy's here.
I see her. I see you, Nancy. I can't hear you.
She's on mute.
There
Okay.
she goes.
There she goes.
And I just looked up the agenda items, and they were curriculum review cycles and a coaching implementation update. So I don't know that we need teachers. We would need the 2 instructional coaches there. And then there was an interest in doing some math achievement score analysis with the NUIA and curriculum alignment. So I feel like we could do those topics remotely. It wouldn't require teachers, but I also don't have a problem with moving it to May. I'm not sure if we would, you said there was a date of May 20th, Jay, or is that another meeting?
That's what I've got on my calendar is curriculum Wednesday, May 20th, sorry.
Okay.
So April 8th is next week, right?
Yes.
I would suggest
Wednesday.
that we put that meeting off until May, just because there's so many other things going on that even these people that you mentioned, yourself included, Nancy, have a lot to do right now. And these things, even though they're very important, they don't seem crucial right now. So I would suggest that we put that meeting off till May. My feelings.
I concur.
I concur also.
I'm fine putting it off. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay, sounds like we've got basic consensus. I'll move that to Wednesday, May 20th, and I'll work with Nancy on making sure we're ready for that regardless one way or the other. And then the last one that we've got scheduled to come up is policy on April 28th from 6 to 7 p.m. We have one kind of outstanding policy that we need to continue work on, and that is the staff standards of conduct with students. And then I was also scheduled to give a report on the student fundraising activities, which is another policy. Those are kind of our 2 that are outstanding right now. So we could plan to have that meeting on the 28th. The next policy committee meeting after the 28th is May 26th. So I can go either way on it, whatever you guys feel is important here.
The 28th works for me.
Yeah.
I think the 28th is fine.
Okay, I'm seeing bobbing heads around, it looks like. So we'll plan on continuing with the.
Yes,
the
I'm good with the 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, that's what we will plan. Thank you guys so much. All right, that was the rest for me. So when we look at our agenda, that brings us up to number
Budget.
5A, budgets. And
So we have updates since the previous meeting. And we were presented tonight with a budget of $643,000 increase. And I think that when we look at the whole thing of this amount of money that's going into our economy and everything else, we're going to be suffering a lot through inflation. And there's going to be this imbalance when you look at the page over on didn't have the number on it, but you look at Wayne up at 16,600 almost, and Reedfield down at 8,600. I think somehow people are going to complain about the imbalance of what we're paying for each town. And this here budget that we're going to have, I don't think you can have anything above a 0 increase at all because of the amount of stress that's on people. There's a lot of jobs that are out. We have 32% unemployment, and a lot of those jobs will not be coming back because of new ways of operating. So as we go into this negotiation tonight, I wish that everybody would think about the impact on our towns, because I think it's severe. And this budget here is going to be one of the hardest ones that we ever passed. And with that, I'm going to let Jay speak on where he stands.
So again, just very quickly, Bridget, if I make any mistakes along the way, feel free to jump in and correct me. I am totally fine with that. So as you're looking at the fourth draft statement, which is in page 5 of your packets, I'll just draw your attention down to the grand totals at the bottom. On the third draft, we were at 4.8% of an increase. With this fourth draft, we are down to 3.46. We are down approximately $284,000, $248,301 from the last draft that you guys received. We've made a really, really, I guess, strong move to try to start to bring things closer to the original budget goal that we had established. When you look at the next page, which is the revenue areas, one of the things, and this was Betty's question earlier on, one of the things that we did is we did look at what the change means for our budget, like what the carryover, what money aren't we spending that we would normally be spending through this closure. And we moved the balance forward from 600,000 up to, we added 200,000 that we can carry forward. That brings us to 800,000 at this time that we're carrying forward. That number could go up a little bit. Again, a lot of it depends on how long this closure extends. So that number conceivably could go a little bit higher, but right now we can easily put it at 800,000 just based on the short-term closure that we're looking at. So then if you go down to the line right above total budget, it says subtotal property tax revenue. What that means is we were able to actually, you'll notice it's in parentheses, $43,953. That's actually lower. The local share is actually $43,000 less than it was last year. So we're actually bringing the local share down to less than it was last year. So that's a really important thing to note there. So then if you go to the very next page, then you get the breakdown on what that looks like. So if you go to the the fourth row from the bottom where it says the 2021 total local contribution, you can see how it breaks down by district and then each individual town going forward. So actually we'd be looking for less money in Manchester to the tune of about $52,000. Mount Vernon would be almost 25,000 less. Reedfield, we'd still be looking at an increase of 24,000, and Wayne, we'd be looking at an increase of $9,314. And the only reason they have an increase, this is really an important thing to note, is that their evaluations, which are defined by the state, are significantly higher than Manchester and Mount Vernon. So when you look at that very top line, that's really why you're seeing that those two towns still have an increase. Their evaluations went up. And we've said this several times, but Reedfield is, they had an evaluation increase of almost 6%. That has a huge impact on what the bottom line looks like for the school budget. And you kind of get hit twice there, the way the formula works, because of the 50% is based on enrollment, 50% is based on evaluation. So if your evaluation goes up, it hurts you right at the very beginning, and then when we're calculating the formula, it shows another increase there too. So I think with some of the things we are talking about, we can probably get both Reedfield and Wayne down as well, so that there's no actual increase, but we have a little work to do with that moving forward. So
Jay,
yeah,
is the roof that we're going to be voting on shortly, is that in or out of this budget?
It is still currently sitting in the budget, and I just felt we had to leave it in there until we made a decision. So once we make a decision tonight, then we'll remove that out. The other thing to note is is really important. We have adjusted for insurance. Originally, we had it set at 10% increase. We got notification last week that it wasn't going to be any higher than 6%. And then just today, shortly before this meeting, we actually got our rate, and it's a little over 3%. I believe it's like 3.25%. So we will have to adjust down insurance again as well. So there's still adjustments to be made within the budget here. So we're not done yet, but we're certainly getting to a better place, obviously.
The Blue Cross rate is 3.78, so that will be slightly over another $50,000 decrease to this budget. Because when I brought it from 10% down to 6%, that was about 100,000. So that was a 4% decrease. So it's going down about 2.25% additional. So it's going to be a little over $50,000 additional in Blue Cross reductions.
Jay, is the state EPS allocation, is that fixed? Is that like the final amount, or are they still evaluating?
So based on what we know at this point, what we receive for the allocation is what it will be. Again, you there's always a little bit of unknown there, but the communications we've received is what we got with our ED 279 is not going to change, at least not at this time. So, and that actually benefited us. Remember, we were up with what we were going to get, about a little over $300,000, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So was this just an update, or was this time to discuss it?
So I think at this point, and Gary, you correct me if I'm stepping ahead here, but I think I've given you this, and I think now it's time to start discussing, where we want to go next or how we're going to proceed.
Are we supposed to do citizen comments first?
I believe. Ooh, that is a very good point. Yes.
Citizens should be commenting on this before we go on.
Yep, good call. So I am going to take this off the big screen just so that way we can see if there is anyone from citizens that do want to make comments about the budgets.
I hear none. So we'll move on to this deliberation portion. So when you have kids that go to another school that belong to you, is that student count in the other school, or does it stay in the town that they came from?
There's two different types of students. There's some that are tuition students, and those are what our Fayette students are.
Right.
And so
no, I'm talking about a Wayne student that goes to Reedfield because he doesn't like to be in Wayne.
Oh, well, we count the students by the town that they live in, within the district.
So they're not, a Wayne student that attends to be in Reedfield is not counted in Reedfield. He's counted over in Wayne.
Well, I'd have to double check that with Donna, because Donna's the one who does the actual attendance.
Okay.
So if he goes to, Donna just said to me that if he's from Wayne but goes to Reedfield, he's counted in Reedfield.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So would that raise or lower that $16,000 if he was put into Wayne where he belongs?
That really wouldn't have any impact at all, Gary. That what you see there is, that just counts how much is being raised by the town. I'm trying to think. you know, if you switched one student around, I'd have to think about how we're actually counting the students by town. So if they're counted in Reedfield and they were moved back to Wayne, yeah, it would change. It would slightly increase Reedfield and slightly lower Wayne's if they were counted in Wayne.
Right. It would lower the overall cost. So when people from Wayne look at it, they would have a lower cost.
I mean, Donna and I would have to sit down and talk about how we're listing that enrollment down there.
Okay, well, I think that needs to be done. That might help some.
Okay.
Because the imbalance is what I get asked all the time. That
And
Wayne,
yeah.
and the people that live along the lake don't have the kids. It's the people that live elsewhere are paying the higher price because of where they live.
Yeah. Well, it's evaluations that really drive that.
Yeah. Sometime we're going to have to look at it because Mount Vernon is given the same type of questions. The imbalance. And these are both towns that receive 0 funds. So.
Nope. No, all the towns are receiving funds next year, Gary. Every single one of them.
Well, that'll be something new.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at what a student coming in has to pay versus what the town is paying, that's what they're looking at.
Hey, Jay, so do you see any more changes in the budget that's upcoming? Any major changes?
So we will talk about the bond, which, or excuse me, the Mount Vernon roof, which is $70,000. You heard the health insurance, which will be somewhere around the $50,000 mark. We are paying attention to positions, and if we can do without them, and do it through attrition, that could happen. But that's a little bit of a moving target, because they may make a decision in the next week, but it could be June 1st before we know that they're actually leaving. So that's a little bit of a moving target. The other thing would be the balance forward. That would could potentially have an impact as well.
Do we need to make an motion for the Mount Vernon Elementary School roof?
At some point, yes, we do need to have that discussion. I don't know if you want to roll it into right now or if you want
No,
to.
well, let's take care of the roof so that
Okay.
we get into the bond.
Yep, okay.
I think that given the circumstances now, rather than have it go into the budget, I think we should use bond funds to take care of that. I think that would be a smart decision for our communities.
I do too.
I totally agree.
So someone want to make a motion?
I move to authorize the Mount Vernon Elementary roof repair to be made with bond funds.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Kim.
I approve.
Cindy.
I approve.
Kathy.
Approve.
Alex.
Approve.
Patty.
Approve.
Rebecca.
Approve.
Betty.
Approve.
John.
Approve.
Gary.
Approve.
And David.
Approve.
All right. All right. Okay, that's taken care of. So more discussions around the budget.
Bridget, the $200,000 increase in the carryover, does that include electricity, fuel, bus?
It's anticipating some of that. Like, we don't have field trips running. We don't have our buses running. We're not using diesel. You know, there's, and I thought of a few of them the other day. Now I can't think of all the different things, but so there's a lot of things that are not happening right now. We're still waiting on, and I know Jay and I have had this conversation, we're still waiting on the spring sports. We don't know on them yet. So I've still anticipated that we're going to be spending the spring sport money, but I don't know that yet. So that could be a change that we might know in another 2 weeks. You know, so there, you know, and plus we had some positions that we were not able to fill this year too, or that we changed due to enrollments. You know, we went from budgeting a full-time pre-K teacher in Mount Vernon to only needing a half-time, and we had a change in staff, so we were able to do that. So there were some other changes. So all of those things play into that additional 200,000 that I raised the balance forward with.
When do we have to vote on this budget?
Well, it's scheduled for 2 weeks from tonight, but
Yeah.
Jay's
April
going to have a
15th.
discussion about that, I think,
Yeah.
in just a minute here.
Yeah.
April 15th is the final discussion for this.
Yes, but I'm not sure that what's the state guidance on school budgets?
So, yeah, so I think a lot of it's going to depend on that. Like the timeline for us is we usually vote April 15th, which gives us time to get everything to the printer and get our kind of newspaper out around the budget. And then May 13th is our big annual budget meeting in the gym. So a lot of this is going to depend on if restrictions have been lifted and if we can actually have our gym first round budget meeting. I don't know what that's going to look like. If I'm a betting man right now, I'm kind of 60-40 that it'll actually, or 40-60 that it'll actually happen right now. So yeah. And then of course, if we don't have our meeting the 13th, that's going to impact the June 9, and that we've already got towns talking about backing that up. I know Wayne is having that discussion. I haven't heard anything from Manchester. I was actually going to call Pat Gilbert tomorrow or Friday and see what his thoughts are around that. I know Bruce Burgoyne over in Reedfield I talked to him last Wednesday. Things were on track last Wednesday, but again, things have changed. So I'm not sure where he sits right now. Alex, maybe you can
Yeah,
talk
we
a little
had
bit
that
about
discussion. We had that discussion at our last Monday, and we're just kind of playing it by ear. But we'll probably closer to the deadline, we'll have an answer.
Yeah.
So maybe 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, yeah. So there's still a lot of unknowns out there right now, and I think that's what makes this so hard. is those unknowns of can we meet those timelines that we normally would be able to meet.
I think the June 9th date is required by state. I don't know. Sean probably could talk to that because a lot of things are based upon how they move forward in the government on that date.
Shanna Bellows.
Yeah, would it be appropriate? We passed LD 2167 on the last day of session, and Part E in that says that notwithstanding the law, if due to the state of emergency, I'm going to just read over this. A school board may delay a school budget meeting. Oh, shoot, I just lost it. Oh, you've got it.
Sorry, there you go.
Okay, you've already got it. All right, so you could delay the budget meeting and operate under your current budget until 30 days after the termination of the state of emergency.
Well, the emergency's coming off on May 1st or May 3rd, if I recall.
Maybe.
What I heard.
My husband came home from the hospital today and said that this should peak in the Penobscot area, July.
I've been hearing that it's going to peak in July as well. I'm sorry to share that. I don't have inside information about when the emergency will or won't terminate, but it's not going to terminate until after the peak.
So, I mean, I think based on on the guidance that we have, I think it's kind of an unknown. Because the June 9th date, Gary, that's just, that doesn't affect the school budget, how we do it. I mean, that's just, there's other other districts who don't use the June 9th date. So that's just, we do it for convenience factor and cost factor.
Yeah, it reduces the amount of cost for the towns if it gets done on that date.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to rush and not have, to do things so that just for that June 9th date, because as Senator Bellows said, there's an allowance in the law.
The one thing I would like to mention though is if we push it off, all 4 towns will have to pick a date where all 4 towns vote on the same day for the school budget. They can't pick different dates for each town. It has to all be on the same date.
Right, but if we can't meet in the gym, if we can't meet,
right,
then we're gonna have to push it off if we
Yeah.
can't meet, if the order's still in effect.
No easy answers.
So the other thing is that if I recall the accountant, every time I've listened to the accountant, he always wants 600,000 to be the carry forward. And you put an extra 200,000 in there. Why don't we use that 200,000 to reduce the amount of expenditures on this coming year?
We are doing that, Gary. By increasing our balance forward, it reduces the amount of money the towns have to raise next year. And truthfully, the accountants don't come up with that 600. I come up with that 600 when I look at our revenues and expenditures each year. But by increasing that balance forward, an additional 200,000, that reduced the local dollars that needed to be raised for next year by an additional 200,000. So from the last meeting, we reduced the budget 248,000, and we increased our balance forward an additional 400,000. So what the towns need to raise next year since the last meeting went down by $448,000.
Have you done any calculations as to what the 77,000? We basically tonight know that it's going down 100.
About 120.
20, yeah.
1,000, yeah.
What does that do for Reed Field and for Wayne? Do you know?
No, I haven't calculated
Okay.
that out, so.
Okay. Just checking.
I just want to say for the record that getting it from 5% down to 3.46% is fantastic. So great job, Jay, and everyone else.
Yeah,
that's great.
Thank you. I feel like we can probably get it a little bit lower going forward too, but again, there's a few unknowns that I just don't have an answer to yet. So, as we make our calculations ahead of that April 15th, I am going to send you guys out revisions as we make revisions so that as we get closer to the 15th, you kind of know what it's going to look like from there. I don't know as you have to make a decision right now. If we decide to back things up, we might have more information come April 15th of where this is going. So if we just kind of continue forward with where we are right now, continue to make changes that we know about, come April 15th, we have more information about what's going on with the healthcare crisis, if the stay-at-home orders are going to continue, if the social distancing guidelines are going to continue, then we can probably make a little bit more informed decision about can we hit that May 13th date at that time. So a couple more weeks will probably give us a little bit more information moving forward. And like Alex had said, the towns at that point will probably be making decisions as well. So I obviously am going to be in touch with all the town managers and have discussions of where they're leaning and what they're thinking about and all that stuff. So
Can I get clarification on that, whatever number it was that was passed that gives us the additional 30 days? Is that saying that we're going to have 30 days to complete our meeting in the gym and vote? Is that all going to have to be done within that 30-day period? That, Shanna, I guess that's for you.
if we don't have our vote, just so
Oh, whoops, I was muted. Sorry.
if we don't have our vote, we operate on last year's budget until we have our vote. So I think we can establish our own timeline, but we'll have to do it in conjunctions with the town. So we would then set, this is the meeting date in the gym. And then we would coordinate with the towns of when we're actually going to have the vote, which has to happen within a set number of days from within the gym. I believe it's 30 days within the, once we have the meeting in the gym, we have 30 days to then set a vote and have the votes at the town level. So I think we get to set those dates. Shanna, correct me if I'm misspeaking on any part here. You may or may not be able to answer that.
So it looks like, I was just reading the statute, but I was on mute before. If a school board elects to delay a school budget meeting under this section, the meeting must be held and the budget approved within 30 days of the date. Either the commissioner notifies the school board of the allocation or the termination of the state of emergency due to COVID-19.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was hearing. So that means we have 30 days.
Yeah, it would give you 30 days after the state of emergency is ended. I think you would get some advance notice of when the state of emergency is going to end. I can't imagine the governor, well, I don't think you'll get advance notice of when it's going to get continued. But this provision was designed with the idea that this may well last through July, and you may not be able to do group meetings before July. And I think that may be a reality we have to confront on April 15th.
I agree with that interpretation. I mean, it would give us 30 days, but I think the budget would pretty much be set though.
Yes. Yes, it would.
So, I mean,
The budget would be set, but we'd still have to have that meeting and get a vote in all within 30 days.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Is that a quick turnaround? I mean, I haven't done this before, so.
Truthfully, the law right now is we have to have the vote within 30 days of the budget meeting now anyway. It's just usually we're setting it and backing it up from that June 9th or that Tuesday vote in June. If the budget's already set, they've said we don't have to worry, or at least I read someplace, I don't remember. I've had so many things come across my desk, I don't remember. But I think they said if we had everything done with dates on it, we would be allowed to use that same paperwork, even though the dates were now changed due to this crisis. So I think as long as we weren't making any changes to the budget and we were just waiting for the votes, I think 30 days to do the annual meeting and the town budget votes could happen.
So Jay, I think we just let it go slide till April 15th when we have the next meeting.
Okay. Well, and like I said earlier, as we make budget adjustments, we will try to get them out to you guys ahead of April 15th. So you have some time to process them a little bit. And then obviously we'll discuss it more on April 15th. So I think I feel like we're actually in pretty good shape, and I think we can get closer, and this buys us a little bit more time to continue to work on, can we get that number down?
Okay. Moving on to D, report on law. I guess we talked about that already, so we're done with that.
Yeah.
So we're up to,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
make a roll call.
Oh. I don't think we need the roll call. I'm going to put
All
yes
in
for
favor.
everybody. Okay?
Yay.
I agree.
Everyone for being here and working through this. And thank you, Shenna, for being here today. I think your input certainly helped, especially during this budget process discussion. So thank you for being here for that. And we will be in touch, everyone else, as we move forward. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.